ISA, we have been in the market since 2014, and what we basically do, we complement academia with industry, real work skills and knowledge. And these are some of the partners that we have partnered with for the different courses. And then these are the industry bodies. We are NITA accredited as well as CIM accredited center. So we offer early courses for early stage employees as well as experienced marketers, which is now the CIM level 6 diploma. And then I was just basically highlighting the CIM level 6 diploma and what it entails. It has all these modules: strategy and planning, commercial intelligence, customer journey, and special award modules, which were introduced late last year: AI in marketing, social media management, and e-commerce. And this is why for us as ISA, for CIM, we have a 80% pass rate. Our trainers have 10 years plus experience in marketing. We have all our classes are virtual, as well as we have industry exposure, meaning we have networking events for marketers that may benefit you. So those are our CIM instructors and trainers. And then we also have the IBC program, the Integrated Brand Communication Program, which has 4 key qualities. It is by industry, for industry. It is homegrown. It is integrated with AI, as well as it has an integrated approach. So these are some of the courses that are offered under the IBC course. So for today's webinar, we will be focusing on smart media planning for the current marketer. So this is in promotion of the integrated media management short course, which now will begin next week. And these are some of the topics that the course will cover. So if you are interested, we will discuss, or you can contact us after the webinar. So I'll just stop sharing my screen and hand over to Lenny Nganga to begin today's session. Welcome so much, Lenny.
All right, thank you very much. And welcome everybody. Thank you for joining this session. And I'm quite excited to speak to you about smart media planning in today's environment. So whether you're just starting out or looking to sharpen your skills and understand how media is evolving and how to plan effectively within it, all these which are very essential for success, I think this course is tailor-made for you. And I'm very impressed with the work that ISA has been doing. I've been with ISA from the very beginning, and I'm very happy that the ISA is able to offer this kind of courses, which are not readily available with any other learning institution, and which prepares you for getting into the workplace and getting in and sliding in effortlessly with the kind of skills that you'll acquire. So the need for this particular course arose out of a discussion we had with Susan, the two Susans, both the principal of ISA and Susan, who's also going to be facilitating the course, about the need to refresh the curriculum around media planning because of how fast things have changed in today's world. And this is mainly driven by the changing media consumption habits. This is because of how much people have changed in terms of their media consumption across different platforms, different formats, and different kinds of devices. Things like the influence of algorithms. A couple of years ago, PhD released a book called Sentience, where it predicted that soon we will be marketing to algorithms, which will then be marketing to our audiences. That is happening now. So algorithms shape what people see. So making your context, timing, and also sometimes the tech layer behind it a lot more important than ever. And then, of course, there's fragmentation, which is the splitting up of media channels into so many different smaller audiences, but also personalization and things like AI are enabling personalization of messages at scale and at speed. So media planners now need to understand micro audiences and regional nuances because consumers expect relevance in whatever content is being served up to them and whatever communication they are going to see. So in terms of media planning strategies now have had to change. and adopt to this new reality. So we're looking at things like agility over rigidity. When I started out in this business, I've been in the business for 31 years now. We could lock down a media plan for an entire year. Now you have to be able to look at your media plan month on month, because a new platform can come up and disrupt the way your audiences are consuming media and how they're consuming messaging. So you have to do audience first thinking. So think about, what is my audience doing today? How do I adapt to this? And the other thing that is really helping that is the availability of so many different data points that were not really available to us before. And things like digital platforms are giving us so much return data that we can use to optimize plans in real time. Traditional media, of course, is still very important because it's still dominant in quite a large segment of our audiences today, especially when you're looking at rural audiences. But even there's the ability to get a lot more data and much more research quicker and faster and be able to change the plans and iterate on these almost in real time. Then we also have now to start looking at, how are we going to be measuring impact across all these different channels? So we, as people in the media planning industry and communications planning, have to start looking at what effects of the business are we going to be measuring. And so for every campaign that we do, we have to set out with a measurement criteria in mind and say, at the end of this campaign, what's going to define my success? What are we going to be measuring? And putting aside budgets to actually keep measuring this, even if you're doing smaller dipstick studies, which are nowadays so much faster in terms of getting feedback. So looking at all these different elements, where there's going to be things like sales lift, changes in brand equity, and long-term growth, and striking a balance between short-term effects, which is where a lot of businesses do tend to concentrate, and long-term effects. But the long-term effects usually tend to be close to about 4 times the short-term effects. In fact, like work that has been done by the IPA in the UK has shown that about only 15% of a brand's demand is current demand. 85% is future demand. So you have to balance between the two, because of course the brand has to stay in business to be able to pay for the marketing activities that will build for the long term. So we have to look at as well, measurement is very important. And increasingly in the boardrooms and at the C-level, questions are being asked about the effectiveness of marketing. And the better we can get measuring the effectiveness of it and enhancing it, the more valued we become as partners to our clients and to the brands that we work on. Then the other one is very important in today's world, is creative effectiveness. Measurement must include things like creative resonance. Even when you're doing media planning, you have to know what kind of creative you're working with, because as there's so much more in today's world, creativity becomes a lot more important because you have to be able to stand out. So knowing which assets you have and which ones perform the best also help to inform much more effective media planning, so that you know what to deploy when, where, and how much of it. Because the old saying goes that we as marketers get tired a lot quicker of our ads or our communication than our audiences do. And in fact, now there's a new concept that's come up, it's called creative commitment. When you have great creativity and work that delivers for the brand in terms of all those things that we say we're going to be measuring, you have to remain committed to it, have to push it to the longer term. And the more creative commitment you put into your plans with great assets, then you deliver much, much better return on investment. So smart planning is about creative and media synergy, understanding audiences, understanding platforms. In fact, the new term nowadays is called fluid media planning, just to see how people flow from one platform or from one piece of content or type of content or device to the next. Understanding that and seeing where you're going to catch their attention, how you're going to catch their attention, and how much of it you're going to be putting behind that particular strategy. So in today's world, smart media planning means being agile, audience focused, creatively aware, and measurement savvy. So, as media planners now, the job is to connect the dots between data, creativity, and the strategy. And at the heart of it all is empathy with the audience, understanding the audience. So, the future of media, which is already here now, is a lot of options, marketing to algorithms, and full of opportunities. So, let's plan smart and plan for growth. And I'll hand over to Susan now to take you through the meat of the content of the course. Thank you.
Thank you, Lenny. I think it's Harun who comes before me. So Harun? Yes, just for the media landscape and the trends. So Harun, take it away.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Susan and Lenny for that introduction, and of course, Christine for putting together this session to be able to take through some of our prospective students on what to expect. So my name is Harun Moshai, research and strategy at Real Analytics. I'm happy to be sharing some insights with you in terms of some of the ways you're supporting the industry, especially in the areas of media planning and measurement. As rightly Lenny put it, measurement is nowadays at the core of media planning business. So allow me to share my screen so that I can take you through quickly a very short presentation just to set the context of what I wanted us to speak about today. Probably, Susan, you can confirm to me if my screen is visible from your side.
Yes, it is. Carry on.
Thank you. Yeah. So what happened in our industry, especially in the media industry from 2016, is something we call the digital migration. And this changed the landscape a lot in terms of the options that are available for various media users, especially on mainstream. Here, of course, I'm only referring to the mainstream media platforms, which is largely radio and TV. So there was that liberty for so many people to be able to open up their own media houses, given that shift to the digital platforms, unlike previously when we were in analog. So if you look at the communications report for last year, ending last year, we have access to more than 350 TV stations and more than 300 radio stations, which of course various advertisers or agencies like ourselves can be able to use, to broadcast our clients' content. But then again, not all of these will be very, I would say, commercial, because here we're also looking at, stations, religious stations, that will, but the point here is nowadays, the audiences are exposed to so many platforms. And this coupled with what Lenny spoke about in terms of digital, and all other video on demand, and so many other emerging platforms that you need to consider while you're doing your media planning. In terms of media access, and this is also from the Communications Authority, you find that radio and TV still have a very high level of access. I think the highest access at about 74%, followed by internet. But this again also changes with the demographics you're trying to target. So because when the CA is doing this survey, we'll probably target the whole universe or the country as a whole. These will basically change when you're looking at various target audiences. For instance, if you're looking for the youth, the youthful population, then this graph will definitely be different. So when you're doing your media plan, you can't refer to these sort of a universal analysis of how media is being consumed in Kenya. So you'll find that when you filter your demographics, you'll find for the youth maybe the internet is doing better. And you can narrow down to various platforms to use to advertise on those platforms. But narrowing down to the various media platforms, again, you can see how the usage is also from the Communications Authority's latest statistics. Facebook is very big in Kenya with the highest number of users, followed by WhatsApp, TikTok, I know most of you may have some question marks here in terms of how Facebook, especially, is performing better than TikTok. But then again, as I mentioned, this could be a question of your targeting, your demographics. If you look at various demographics, then you will find that TikTok has really grown. And if you look at statistics from about 4 or 5 years ago, the share of TikTok users in this report was less than 5%. Right now, we are talking about 30% universally. That is across Kenya. So, in urban centers within the youthful population, then these statistics could be very different. Then, in terms of what we do as our core business is media monitoring, especially in the area of advertising, and this is important information for you as media planners to be able to understand what is happening in the market. In terms of even creating your media plan, this should be like your sort of preliminary investigation that you need to do. What are competitors doing in the media? What's happening? What's new in terms of creative, and those sort of items. So, looking at our data from last year, and this analysis was done up until last month, is January to September, and comparing this with the other year, that is 2024, then you can see a decline. Advertising trends on mainstream media is actually on a decline trend. And I remember when we were doing the ISA full year in review earlier this year, we had projected this. We had seen that this advertising on traditional media is actually going to drop, at least for the short term. That is 2025 and even 2026. Going into 2027, because it's an electioneering year, we have also noticed that brands don't come out as much in terms of media spending because, of course, of the uncertainties that are normally faced during these electioneering periods. Some of the other drivers, of course, it's government regulation, very tighter sort of statutories, if you can put it that way, over the last few years. Things to do with, with SHA, with the housing levy. This leaves companies with lesser and lesser money to be able to spend on the media. And if you look at the World Bank economic indicators, the service industry is very affected in the recent past because of some of these regulations. Again, you find some industries are very really targeted in terms of regulation by the government. Betting and gambling, which has been traditionally one of the biggest spenders in the media, has had so many sort of regulations to even restrict their advertising. As late as this year, in around May, April, May, thereabout, they were banned from advertising on mainstream media for about 1 month. So these are some of the factors that lead to this drop in media spends. And we've tried to understand this and spoken to some of our clients. Then where is some of these media investments going? And as probably Lenny rightly put it, is that most of these investments is actually now going to digital media platforms. We've spoken to some of our clients who have told us that they've actually reduced the amount they're spending on media over the years and increasing their shares on digital media. The problem with tracking digital media spends is, of course, the diversity of that particular platform. It's quite difficult to see to know, the type of budgets people are putting on digital, given that they use influencers, they will use sponsored posts, they will, have various forms of digital media advertising. But in terms of the market insight is that spends are increasingly moving into digital media platforms. In terms of the companies that are pushing most of these media activity, this year has been Safaricom. Safaricom is very heavy, especially when I think they're celebrating their 20 or 25 years thereabout. They've had so many campaigns around that particular area. MultiChoice Kenya, of course, one of the leading media companies, I think recently acquired by a French company, but they've been pushing a lot of over the top media platforms like Showmax. So they do that a lot. And then the banks, of course, the likes of KCB, Cooperative Bank, pushing their various accounts. Pwani Oil, these are personal care products. So these are what you can call mostly fast-moving consumer goods that really want to be in the media almost all the time. Then the other section I wanted to look at is some of the emerging media technologies, especially in media measurement. As an organization, we are also very keen in terms of supporting the industry on media measurements, at least for traditional media. However, as it has been said here, it's important to measure media across all media platforms, be it digital, be it out of home, all forms of media. You need to show ROI, even for you as a media planner in your organization to get more budget. So what is media research, and what is it? What is its importance? So media research is basically understanding your audiences to help you improve your communication strategies. You are able to identify your target market, their media consumption patterns, which probably televisions do they watch, which radio stations do they listen to. If it's on digital media, then which platforms do they consume on the digital platforms? And of course, this will help you in guiding you in your media planning and buying. Now more than ever, media planning and buying needs to be data driven. That is why you're saying this media research is an important aspect of your work. And it also helps you to measure ROI, be able to track the most important parameters like, ratings or GRPs, the frequency and reach, so that you can be able to know at what point to tweak your media plans to be more effective. So how media research used to be done previously is what you call a day after recall. So a media researcher would come and give me as Haron a diary to be able to fill. And then I will indicate what stations or maybe what digital platforms I'm exposed to at a particular period in time. Then they will call me the next day and ask me, what were you watching between 7 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. yesterday? In that manner across the week. Then they were able to give us some media consumption data to guide our planning. Of course, we have had some gaps. It's only that we didn't have any other options to be able to plan for media apart from the day after recall. But then again, you can imagine that somebody may not remember properly what they actually listened to or watched the previous day. In terms of coverage gaps, if you're not able to reach the guys in the very regional, the very rural areas via phone call, then you may not be able to get their listenership or viewership patterns. And then you have language and literacy biases, people who cannot be able to respond to your surveys properly, and social biases, those people who actually would say maybe, Citizen TV is the most watched TV station. Then let me just, respond to the questionnaire with the response of Citizen TV, even though that is not what they actually listen to or watch to as at that particular time. So what we are trying to test, and we've done a pilot test for Kenya, is what you call passive audience data measurement. Yeah. And this is a technology that basically captures your listening habits discreetly without you being without any of your intervention. So it's a mobile app you install on your phone, and what it does, it picks snippets or recordings of what you are exposed to at a particular period of time. So once it picks up any media content in your surrounding, then it's able to match that with what you're streaming from our backend, because we stream, the largest number of stations in Kenya, more than 100 stations. So if I'm listening to Citizen TV News at 7 p.m. and the app is able to pick a fingerprint, it's called a fingerprint, and match that against what is streaming live on Citizen TV, then, the report is able to capture that Haron is actually exposed to Citizen TV at that particular point in time. So this technology is more reliable, it's more efficient. You're able to have some more concrete data without relying on recall. Again, you can be able to track listenership or viewership on even time blocks of up to 5 minutes. Yeah, so it's very rich data to help you in media planning. So what you do is, as a panelist, we first recruit a very representative panel, because for this type of data, you have to have a representative panel to be able to give you the results. By this, I mean you need people from the various regions, or maybe what you call media topographies. I think we have about 11 in Kenya. You need to recruit people from all of those areas. You need to recruit people from various age groups so that you are able to target your campaigns properly. You need to recruit people from various LSMs, age and all of those important media measurement metrics. So then once you recruit a panel, then you are able to install the app on their phones, and then you start receiving data. It's as easy as that. Then you're able to now, of course, project that to the whole population by using weights in terms of how many people they represent. And then you're able to get a lot of insights. Even some of the stations that traditionally would not appear in the day after recall technology, you find them now appearing in this new technology to help you in your planning. So we did a small pilot in Nairobi, well, not in Nairobi, but the major urban centers across the country, and this was in September. And you can see the results. I don't want to go very deep into the results, but what we realized is that you are able to capture so many stations that would have probably been missed out in the traditional day after recall survey. So this now gives you a bigger array of stations that you can be able to work with when you're doing your media plans. And you can also have, this type of insights in terms of segmenting your audiences by age groups, by the various stations, so that you can be able to have smarter media planning. And this data is now being, of course, piped into the various media planning tools locally that you may have been used, you may have used before, be it Telma, be it our own real analytics planning tool, and you can be able to do an analysis of this data and be able to, create optimal media plans, and of course have a way of measuring, how your campaigns are performing in terms of reach, in terms of frequency and GRPs. Again, you can do post-campaign evaluations. Once you're done with your campaigns, you can again measure the return on investment and be able to, establish whether what you set out to achieve is actually what is achieving. So in a nutshell, those are some of the trends that we are seeing in terms of media monitoring and in terms of media measurement. I don't know whether to hand it over to you, Susan, or allow for a few questions before we proceed. I think we can have a Q&A.
Yes.
For any of us, then we can move ahead. I want to open up to the floor. Anybody that so far may have a comment, a reaction, or anything they want to add to our presentations. I think Christine, you can guide.
Yeah, there was a question from the audience. I'll just mention one question. He had asked, how do you measure ROI of media investment, especially for B2B marketing? I will repeat. How do you measure ROI of media investment, especially for B2B marketing? Maybe you can respond to that as others put their questions in the chat.
All right, thanks. I think I can go first, and any of the panelists can come in to support my response. But basically, I mean, measurement is quite diverse, and in terms of B2B, what I would say is that most of the B2B sort of campaigns will not be mass campaigns. You wouldn't put your B2B campaigns on radio, on TV. They need to be very targeted. What I've observed from various media planners is that they really look for the most efficient sort of, even the digital platforms. If you look at LinkedIn, it's very effective in terms of advertising for B2B because you are now able to reach out the decision makers or the key people that are able to make decisions from a B2B perspective. So then measurement in those type of platforms, of course, you'll have to use the key parameters that are used in digital, be it the impressions, the click-through rate. It's also important for B2B to actually track the lead generation parameters. How many leads are you generating in your campaigns? How many are converting? Those type of metrics. And also you can incorporate what you can call research in B2B. It's also very important. So that if you have a client, then you can have surveys like, customer satisfaction, just to understand the sentiments of your customers. And in terms of advocacy, are they able to actually recommend you, to other businesses through some metrics like NPS, customer effort scores? So I would say there are various ways, but in terms of metrics, I would pick out the LinkedIn, some of the digital metrics in LinkedIn, and of course some survey-based metrics. Thanks.
Okay, thank you for that response. I will put the other questions in the chat. At this point, I want to welcome Susan Atino to take us through the next session. Karibu sana, Susan. And just a reminder to the audiences, this is a recorded session. We will share the recording later. Karibu sana.
I hope you can hear me and see me. I'll have my camera on for a few minutes just as an introduction. Hi, everyone. This is Susan Atieno. I'll be your course instructor for the integrated marketing management, media management. She'll be starting next week. So very excited. We have been working with Lenny and of course Susan to redo the content. And as you can imagine, guys, there's a lot to put together. So my presentation today is going to be centered around mobile, and simply because traditionally, we have looked at media from an offline, for a long time, like looking at it from offline, then online, then that integration, we have kind of embraced it. However, AI is now coming on board, and mobile and so many other things that we need even tighter integrations. So the reason why I have picked the mobile approach as a mobile first approach for media integration and planning is because and I'm going to show you the stats. It's because mobile has become extremely important in our lives, in all our aspects of, the things that we do on a day-to-day basis. When you look at the consumer media landscape, the mobile does not go away. It's something that is constantly there. People have 2 SIM cards. People have multiple mobile handsets, both feature phones and smartphones. So it's a very important part of our media journey or our media understanding, especially when it comes to planning and even how to understand how that shift is going to take place. So I don't think I have a lot of time. There's a lot that we are going to discuss in the course, and again, looking at a refreshed course, because again, we are shifting from now offline into digital. And then now we're getting into AI and all the other things that are coming in. So let me project my screen. I'll put my video off and kindly just walk with me even as we look at this presentation. Thank you. Okay. So this is a very brief presentation, and thank you, Haron, for really taking us through the media landscape, and Lenny for a very powerful introduction on how this going forward looks like. Being in the industry for a decade plus, I have seen a lot of shifts. Of course, heavily starting from an traditional media buying point of view, and now getting into the digital world and everything that comes with it. And even now, before we settle even well, we are moving. So there's a lot of moving parts in our industry today, especially from a media point of view. So when Lenny introduces this, when he introduced this course, and for us, those of us who missed his part, I just want to summarize and say that we can no longer work in isolation. We can no longer work as creative, as media, as strategy, as account management. And I know when I train this course, I tell the people who've gone through this course with me is that media is a technical course. We call it, I call it a technical course. However, from my personal experience, as much as it is a technical course and it gives you an added advantage, we also must work with creative. We also must work with strategy. We also must work with account managers, because as media, we are advantaged to be able to be account managers because we client face. And also, apart from client facing with client, we are also working very closely with strategy and creative. So as Lenny rightly put it, we can no longer have content going out on our media platforms, on our TV platforms, on our programmatic platforms, without seeing how it looks like from a creative point of view or from a strategic point of view. Now, this presentation elevates, and I want you to shift. And again, thank you, Christine, for giving us the demographics of the people we are talking to today. And also, I want to believe we have people who have been in the industry for long and people who are just interested in this media world. I want us to shift from just the TV, radio, print, billboards, which are extremely important when we think of about FMCGs, when we think about, the alcohol category, when you think about even the government, Communications Authority of Kenya, all these brands are still really dependent on traditional media. When you think about the demographics in terms of how we are split gender-wise, urban/rural numbers, then rural still becomes extremely important. And that's where we plug in radio for tactical engagement and all that. And we're not ignoring that fact. Traditional media is still very alive with us. However, I want us to shift our mindset just a little bit to see that up and above offline, up and above digital, and now we are having artificial intelligence and generative AI coming into this space. Mobile then becomes extremely important, and mobile actually ties in all these elements I've spoken about. What we need to do now is to really see how to integrate it in a world where it's all about mobile. So I just want to start from a few I always like to start my presentations with just a few quotes for us to keep us rolling. That Philip Kotland, again, we know this writer, very instrumental in the marketing space, that integrated marketing communications is a way of looking at the whole marketing process from the viewpoint of the consumer. We have to follow the consumer diligently. We have to follow the numbers. We have to follow the audiences. And that's why Harold is here, just to show us how the numbers look like. And it was important for him to show you that this is how people are consuming media today, and the industry has evolved, and we are at a good place. I mean, we could be better, and Lenny will tell you that conversations are going on here and there around audience and audience data and research. But what the industries that we partner with, and sitting from the agency, we've partnered with Ipsos, Real Analytics, Geopol, and Kantar. I've had the privilege of working with all of them, and I can see that there's a lot more data that is coming, so that we can understand the consumer. Our job is about the consumer. Our job is about knowing where they are, what are they doing? And in this world of mobile, it has become really complex. And remember, our budgets levels are not the same. Our budgets from a planning point of view keep on shrinking. And when they shrink, we need to see how to be effective, how to be tactical, how to be to meet the client objectives. And it's no longer about reach. It's no longer about reach. If you're a digital planner, it's no longer about reach. It's now about engagement. It's now about conversion. It's now about retention, and not only retention, but advocacy. Who else are you telling about these brands that is going to be able to recruit a new person who is going to love this brand and tell it to another person, and the circle continues. And just the next quote that I want to say. So here I've highlighted about the consumer. The most successful marketer becomes part of the lives of their followers. Again, it's all about the consumer. That integrated media planning helps achieve this goal by weaving the brand's message into the various touch points of the consumer's daily life. Again, back to my integration conversation, that yes, we have the consumer, but what is the message that we are integrating in the consumer's life? This has to range from social media all the way to traditional advertising. Now, just for me to to give a basis of the presentation today that we want to define media strategy with a mobile first approach. And what are the things that we need to look out for? Number one, integrated media planning, it offers a consumer-centric approach. I think I have highlighted that. Then we have the weaving of the brand messages. That is the creative side of things. That your creative, even if it's going to a billboard, you have made it for a TV, radio, and all that, the messaging becomes important. And we're going to see how then we need to shift our mindset to be able to do the mobile first approach. Then we have a unified interaction of all marketing touch points, which are extremely key. And finally, integrate your social, your email, your traditional, your traditional advertising should all be integrated. This was very interesting for me when I was looking at the numbers, and just to work with me here, and this was really mind-blowing, that when we look at the numbers in Kenya, our population is 56.43 million as at 2024. But the mobile subscription penetration in Kenya is extremely high. It has a penetration of 143%. In the latest report in mid-2025. You know what that means, right? That our mobile penetration numbers have actually surpassed our population as a country. That's how crazy this mobile world is. That this indicates that the number of active SIM subscriptions is significantly higher than the population. Whoa, for any planner, that is something right there. That the mobile has become so powerful that the subscriptions are even more than our population. How is that possible? So this is driven by factors like increased adoption to smartphones. Yeah, like I can say, if I can take a quick survey around the room, you'll see that most of us have either one phone with two SIM cards or two mobile handsets. We have multiple SIM cards. We have over 74.9 million total mobile subscriptions recorded. And as I've mentioned, our population is at 56.4 million. So keep that in mind, that even as a planner and as a smart media planner or media strategist, what does this do for you? How does this tweak your mind that our mobile penetration numbers are actually much higher than our population? And just looking at more numbers, and I went to the CAK website, and this report shows that the SIM subscription increased by 6.7% to reach a record of 76.16 million, pushing the mobile penetration to 143%, reflecting that the increased impact of mobile technology in our daily lives. And the overall penetration stood at 143%. And just look at the split, guys. When you look at the smartphone versus the feature phones, it's not a big difference, right? So you would think that the people in the mashinannis or the people in the villages are not at par with the smartphones, but at 80%, the smartphones are, the penetration is at 80%, and the feature phones are at 62%. That is still huge. And that just beats your question as a planner, that what is it that am I supposed to do with these numbers when I am planning, right? And when you think about it, you can access TV on your phone. You can access radio on your phone. You can digital. Let me not even go there. These days, even the phones that are coming, the new technologies. Think of your iPhones, your Technos, your Samsungs. All of them are integrating AI. Even our smartwatches. Like I recently bought one, and I was surprised. Wow, ChatGPT is in my smartwatch. When we are doing all our activities, the mobile phone becomes at the center of it. And this is the kind of mind shift that I want us to look at, even as we continue looking at these numbers. So the key drivers, I think I've mentioned, that it has increased adoption of smartphones and a growing reliance on mobile services. Sorry for the bit of background noise. And then we have smartphone versus basic phones. And then we have, of course, the mobile data, the 4G versus 5G networks that have made it extremely easy for us to be able to do work from anywhere, even in the village. Like these days, you'll tell me if you have to work virtually, the 5G network in your village is very strong, and you're able to work as if you're just in the office. So when Geopol released this presentation during the Cantor, not the Cantor, but the PAMRO presentation, this was also very, very key to note that mobile is the anchor of mobile modern media life. And please strategize for mobile first, not mobile also. So I just want to take a minute to just say that when you're strategizing for your media planning and your media strategies, I want to challenge us, and I'm also, even as I challenge myself, that let's not think, yes, let's think TV depending on the objectives of your campaign, but mobile, do not ignore it. That think about mobile first as you plan. So you can see in terms of numbers, and this is the yellow is in 2025, you see that in terms of access, consumers accessed any news via mobile, and you can see the numbers have increased significantly when you compare to radio and TV and in the previous year. So just something to note. And also in terms of our attention span, again, we are looking at shorter videos on TikTok, shorter videos on YouTube Shorts. And when you look at our children today, they're always on Shorts, if you notice that. But our attention has reduced. Consumers' attention spans are rapidly declining worldwide. What does that tell you as a media planner? This trend is particularly evident in the generational differences in mobile. So when you think about the ages of 18 to 24, that almost 8 in 10 young adults reach out for their and 65%, which is around the 10% of the population, they only 10% reach out to their phones when they're idle. And when this survey question was asked, and there's a link here, when they were asked when nothing is occupying your attention, what is the first thing that they do? They say that they reach out for their mobile phone. So again, we are looking at something less than a minute. You can consume it 30 seconds, you consume it, but if it's more, you will scroll and go. So mobile becomes extremely important for us to plan. And I think that the consumer journey is extremely important for us, even when planning for strategy. But when you look at the consumer journey, we normally have the facts versus the insights when we do strategy. So the fact is that what is it that I do in the morning all the way to the evening? One thing that comes out, and when you notice it, one thing that comes out consistently is that there is a mobile phone. There is a mobile phone. When you look at the consumer journey of, let's say you're doing a plan for an FMCG and you're asking, what do they do between this time and this time? TV will be there sometime, radio will be there sometime, billboards will be there sometime, but one thing that is consistent is the mobile phone. So it's extremely important for us to remember that even as we plan, let's think around the mobile phone. So again, as mentioned, I think I only had 10 minutes just to put together this context. But let me finish by just giving 8 key focus points of how then do we integrate a mobile-first approach to planning and strategy. I'll quickly run through this, and I hope to see you in class so that even as we redo the whole of this content, we can together shift our mindset and see, yes, we have been planning, traditionally we've been planning digital first. Now we're integrating AI or generative AI. But the thing is, how then do we bring in mobile first approach to our plans? Because we've seen the numbers. The numbers speak for themselves, and we said we're following the consumer is on mobile. So number one is, please design your campaigns for mobile first. Extremely important. And again, it is time that us as media guys work together with the larger departments in our communities or in our workplaces. So when we are coming to designing, think of laptops, desktops, iPhones, iPads, whatever it is, you will need to work with your IT at one point. I have seen myself doing campaigns where when we're doing landing pages, and what Haron was talking about, the B2B campaigns, when we're working on landing pages, we have to sit with designers We have to ask them, this link, when I open it on my desktop or when I open it on my laptop, how does it look like on mobile? I need to see it. I need it to be designed for mobile because my audience is there. They will probably see it first on mobile before they see it on their desktop or on their laptops when they're at work. So it's extremely important for us to design. The foundation needs to be designed for mobile first. Number 2 is boosting visibility and search ranking. Now, what does this mean? That Google now ranks websites based on how good their mobile version is. If your mobile version is poorly designed, it will rank you low. And that it just works for your favor in terms of the algorithms, and your SEO is better. So think about you're boosting your visibility by just making sure that you are seen from a search point of view. And again, here we're talking integration from a search point of view, where your mobile version or your campaign or your website, can be picked to give you that visibility on Google. This one I cannot insist enough. Understand your mobile behavior. Again, we normally have consumer behavior. We have digital behavior. We have now, I think in the PAMPRO meeting, we had, that was really interesting. We had artificial intelligence landscape. That was really interesting for me, that how does the AI landscape looks like, especially when it comes to consumers. Now we are thinking about mobile behavior. Let us not just think about demographics, psychographics. Now we are looking at how do they actually interact with mobile, and what are the insights you can pick when they're interacting with their mobiles. So use behavioral data, not just demographics, to make smarter targeting decisions. Performance, and Lenny mentioned this, that performance is very key. And with AI, we are able to track performance even better. So stop locking in budgets for months. And clients have become extremely cautious about this. Like I was running a campaign recently, and when we had already done a media plan, the client asked, we cannot lock in all that money on digital platforms or on TV or on radio. We need to do it in piecemeal. We need to do it in phases. And that is the trend, because we want to see, how does it test more? Your A/B testing, does it work? Drop it if it doesn't work. Optimize it if it doesn't work. Every shilling needs to be very accountable. So let's quit doing the guesswork. And then design ads for mobile screen. Again, we've talked about design, but create content specifically for mobile. They need to be short, they need to be vertical, easy to view without sound. Without sound is a huge thing, guys. Yeah. These days when you're scrolling, you need to see the caption. So make sure you sit with your creative department. I'm like, this is my recommendation for a YouTube short or a TikTok ad. It needs to look like this. Let's not just work in isolation, but mobile screen first needs to come. There's also the location and context, and here works both on mobile. You can also integrate it to digital out of home or out of home in itself, where you can have those trackers. You can also have it on radio, where you have the context of, calling. And then what are they using to call? They're using their mobile phones. So you can see mobile becomes a very key tool, especially when using the context and also the location. And there's also measurement. I think I've mentioned this, that when you are getting into measurement and privacy, and I would like to mention that it's really getting harder to track users. Remember the cookies that have been limited now because of the piracy laws. How then do we collect data? If you cannot get first-party data, especially on your digital platforms, then what else do we do? So a few proposals here and there. That's why we are proposing to combine your metadata ads. At least Meta, you're still able to get ads on the platform and get data on the platform, combined plus your CRMs and your Google Analytics for you to be able to understand your consumers in the various touch points. The goal here is to have one unified view of the consumer journey from an ad view to purchase while staying compliant with the data laws. And again, our newest baby on the block, AI collaboration plus human. And I normally say that AI, I know a lot has been said about AI, but there's still the human aspect, especially for insights and strategy, that we cannot run away from. So in media, we have a lot of repetitive tasks. So Haron will tell you that in terms of monitoring, when you go to monitoring campaigns, there's a lot of repetition because of that. You have to sit in and look at it, a lot of manual processes, but now they're also integrating to be able to use AI. So anything that is repetitive, if you have a media plan that you see that has repetitive formulas, repetitive columns, repetitive dates, like if you plan January to December 2025, January to December 2026, some of those repetitive tasks, let's push them to AI. However, the human focus on strategy, ethics, storytelling in media, let us not sell that to AI. Let us still be present so that we can still get our insights and facts right. So collaboration opportunities for IMM, we are seeing data analysis. Yeah, once you run your data, you can ask it to give you patterns, trends, numbers, whatever it is. Once you get that number, and I think this is where the rubber meets the road, or the difference between a smart media planner and one who is not very smart. What do you do with that data? Because we have a lot of data everywhere, and that is what will make a difference. Then there's audience mapping. When you're doing your consumer journey, your audience mapping them to see what are they doing at what time. You will need to collaborate with AI. When you're looking at planning, if you can automate your Excel files, all those reports that we work on, let's use AI so that our work becomes much easier. Then reporting has become very, very, very easy. We have the Power BI with Copilot and many other tools that even Gemini has. So that is the kind of collaboration that we need to do as smart media planners, because personally, I have that challenge. I have multiple Excel files and I need to do the media plans, and some of the tasks are very repetitive. So it's just about how do you optimize that or integrate AI so that some of those repetitive tasks are taken care of. But in summary, for our mobile first approach, we've seen that our penetration is higher than our population. That is key. And because of that, let us build mobile first experiences, because it will integrate radio, TV, connected TV. Just think about your Netflix, think about your Showmaxes, think about Spotify, think about YouTube, think about your streaming platforms. You can literally access all of them on mobile. So mobile becomes something that we cannot ignore. Invest in analytics. Reach out to Haron, who is here. They have amazing tools. In fact, even the passive research that they introduced is a game changer. Let's reach out and find out what more we can get from there as agencies and as brands. Train your team. We are all training, we are all learning, we are all sitting and cracking our heads. How can we make this thing better for us and for the clients? Then let's blend the integration, radio, TV, how can they work together? When you have a call to action on WhatsApp, that's still mobile. When you have a call to action if you have a code on radio, if you have a code on your digital platforms, even your influencer marketing, if you have a code, where do they come to? If they don't come to your email, they'll come to your phone. And even if they come to your email, you are able to access it through your phone. So the phone is really our world. Use Kenyan realities, think low data bundles, shared phones, SIM cards, and WhatsApp as the primary platform. So that is just a summary. Thank you, Christine, for the opportunity to just showcase this. But I'm looking forward to having everyone here sign up for the class. And yeah, let's have fun even as we see where this leads. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Susan. That was a really insightful session. Do we have any questions from the audience? There's a question based on what you have discussed. So with all the data and what you found out from the media industry landscape, what mindset helps media leaders grasp the economies of investment and the value of integrated campaign? That was a question from the audience. What mindset helps media leaders grasp the economics of investment?
Sorry.
Value? Sorry,
I lost you there.
Okay.
Yes, please.
So So there's a question here. What mindset helps media leaders grasp the economics of investment and the value of integrated campaigns?
Wow. What the first part is what?
Yeah, what mindset helps the media leaders?
Oh, mindset.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, that's a good question, actually. And I'm just thinking around it even as I think about my presentation. That I started by saying, let's change our mindset, right? We have to change our mindset, but by following the data. What does the data say? So if my mindset, and I'm giving an example of myself, and Lenny maybe can also jump in here. My mindset was majorly around traditional media that works better because it's mass market. It has, let's say, 70% reach compared to radio that has 20%, or digital platforms that are a bit lower in terms of reach, but very tactical and measurable. Then I need to start changing that mindset by following the data. So I don't want to be prescriptive about the mindset question, but just follow the data. What does the data say? But I think the biggest thing that our challenge on mindset is we will know it, but we will not do it. We will know it, but we will not do it. We will be still in a bit of denial and say, hey, like sometimes when you interact with artificial intelligence or generative AI or all that, you actually get really shocked. Like the scary stuff. You're like, this thing can give me stuff that I have taken 10 years to harness. And with a blink of an eye, or just in few seconds, I get a whole strategic document. That is scary because we have been working on, for you to crack a strategy, you need 2 weeks at least for you to be able to come up with all that deck, or 10 working days. But now, with AI, it's actually quite scary. But the mindset, the shift there for us then is, how do we embrace it quickly, learn about it fast, so that it works in our favor. So let's follow the trends. Let's follow the data. Let's follow it. Pick up the mindset, change it, do it, and then put in our human side of it so that it works for our businesses. So that's the answer I can give for that.
Okay. For this last question, I'll ask Lenny. Lenny, are you here with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So there's a question here. How can media teams balance client ROI with company revenue targets without relying on heavy discounts? I will repeat. How can media teams balance client ROI with company revenue targets without relying on heavy discounts?
I think this is a good question and something that comes up quite a bit. The key thing is to make a distinction between the discounts. The discounts, what they give you is efficiency. That means you're buying the media plan at the lowest possible cost. ROI, on the other part, is about first understanding what it is the client business wants to achieve, what is most important for them, and out of these things that they plan to achieve, how you're going to measure those. So I'll give you like an example. Let's say, and I think the question has been asked here about a B2B company. If you're a B2B company and you're doing marketing and trying to get people, let's say, to subscribe to a particular service that you're selling. So this is now understanding how will you attract customers. So it goes through the whole process of number one, awareness, number two, consideration, number three, action, and then number four, getting people to subscribe. So you would decide based on this company's objectives, the key things I'm going to track in terms of ROI, I'm putting this much into this buy or into this particular investment for this campaign. What I want to track is actually the number of interactions that I have with potential customers. Because getting to the final stage of conversion and so on, you can still track that. But a campaign is actually supposed to bring people into a particular site or area or whatever for them to interact with your brand and service. Then you can convert them from there. That is now what you look at in terms of that being the ROI. How many customers have I brought in to this particular space? the discounts then that is buying that plan and getting those people there for the lowest possible cost. So that is what we call efficiency. But ROI is now something that's going to return something to the business for that investment they are making in the media.
Thank you
I hope
so
that
much.
answers the question.
Yes, it does. So thank you so much to all attendees for participating, for joining today's session. Apologies that we have taken time. We're supposed to end it at 2 p.m. But I hope you have gained all insights. There will be a survey at the end of this webinar. Please feel free to fill in the survey. And in case you need any more information, we are here. You can reach out to us via our communication channels. So thank you so much. We'll update you if you have any other upcoming webinar. Thank you so much, Lenny Nganga. Thank you, Susanna Tenu, as well as Harun Mashai. Waiting to see you in class. Bye-bye for now. We'll send over the recording.